Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. So today we see Bitcoin form another all-time high. It went up as high as 24,200 before settling back down. FOMO among institutions is still ongoing as another institution publicly declares they're buying Bitcoin. Not just buying Bitcoin, they're actually selling gold to buy Bitcoin. So in this video, I want to talk about who this new institution is and also look at Bitcoin short term. Where is it going to go? Can it go higher? Let's get started. So looking at the charts, Bitcoin right now sits at $23,800, about 670 points higher than this time yesterday. So not too shabby. But not too long ago, this morning, Bitcoin went up as high as 24,200, and that is now the new record. Bitcoin has never been above 24,200. That is why I have drawn a new line indicating that is the point that we want to see broken now. So Bitcoin is consolidating a little bit, but I do believe there is more growth coming, and we could see that later today and possibly tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. First, I want to talk about the institution that now FOMO'd into Bitcoin. Who are they? Well, they are Jefferies. So Chris Wood, who is the head of equity strategy at Jefferies, they control about $55 billion worth of investments right now. So they are not as big as, say, MassMutual and not as big as, say, Guggenheim, but they still are pretty big and they have plenty of money on hand. So what are they doing? Well, what's interesting is they're not putting cash into Bitcoin. They're actually selling gold in favor of Bitcoin. So there is a fund that they established since 2002, right? So it's been ongoing for 18 years. So this is a prime example of institutions. When they get into something, they get into it for the long haul. Unlike retail investors, which focus on short term, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. Institutions are focused on long-term growth, decades, sometimes even centuries. So to quote Wood, the 50% weight in physical gold bullion in the portfolio will be reduced for the first time in several years by 5 percentage points with the money invested in Bitcoin. So after the adjustment, about 45% will still be in physical gold bullion, followed by Japanese equities, 30%, also unhedged gold mining stocks, 20%, and finally Bitcoin being 5%. So Bitcoin is very, very tiny in this fund, but you know that this fund is a lot of money. They don't actually say how much, but I can only guess it's probably in the billions. And also to quote, if you look at this big quote right here, if there is a big downturn in Bitcoin from the current level after the historic breakout above 20,000 level, the intention will be to add to this position. So as you can see, they are in it for the long haul. Even if Bitcoin falls below 20,000, they are buying. They're buying more. That's how much they believe in it. And that is why all these institutions are now coming in one by one by one by one by one, right? They're seeing what Bitcoin is now. They're seeing it as a hedge against inflation, against devaluation of the dollar, against economic uncertainty. And that is why they're all shifting to Bitcoin. And Jefferies is the latest institution to do that. And I imagine there's going to be more coming this week and all the weeks after next week. Next, let's go back to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is climbing now, 23,866. Where is it going to go from here? Well, let's look at some of the short-term indicators. Of course, long-term, we know it's going higher, right? I just got done saying institutions keep FOMOing in, they keep buying, and they plan on being in this space for a long time. But what about short-term? Now that Bitcoin hit as high as 24,200, is it going to continue up from there? And where is it going to go? Well, let's take a look at that. Right now, looking at some of the short-term indicators, if we're looking at stochastic, which is this, and RSI, which is this, you can see on the very, very, very short time frame, on the 5-minute, it is still climbing up. So I do believe that it will go up a little bit before coming back down. There's always up and down, but when there's momentum, the trend is up, as you can see, right? But let's move up to say the 1 hour. Now the 1 hour is where it shows that things are still coming down, right? After hitting 24.2, and this is a tremendous pump. Obviously, someone bought a ton of Bitcoin to cause this to happen, right? But you could see on the 1 hour, stochastic topped out, and RSI, although not as high as some of these previous levels, it did start turning down, right? That doesn't mean it can't turn right back up. But what it looks like right now is, yes, it's taking a breather, right? Usually when you see this happen, it always happens. Whenever these indicators get too high, there's a little bit breather, consolidation period, although sometimes that's just very short. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be a few hours, right? But that's what it's looking like right now. But the momentum, you could tell, is building. Something happened this morning. Someone is buying a ton of Bitcoin. So I don't think this is actually going to stop. And things look even better when you go to the 4 hour. And this is something that I've been looking at. The 4 hours is a pretty good time frame to determine what's going to happen later in the day and next day. And it just barely turned up. And you could see the type of movement that Bitcoin saw, right? That shows you that momentum is there. And in fact, if you look at this, if you draw the lines, it actually looks like a pennant, a bullish pennant. That's exactly what it looks like, and it looks like it has broken out of the pennant. So now it's heading higher. But what's great about this time frame is you can see that Bitcoin went up this much, right? And this barely moved, which shows that there's a lot of momentum left. So for me, looking at this, it looks like short term, we will go up again. Once the 1 hour, the consolidation is done with the 1 hour, and maybe we go down a little bit more, maybe back down to 23.5, 23.6. I think we do continue back up. I do think that later today we will see 24.2 again and form another all-time high. So we're starting to get used to it, right? We're getting comfortable with the fact that every day we're prepared to see a new all-time high. That is how good it is right now. So the only thing that gives me any indication of where Bitcoin could go from here is Bollinger Bands. All right, so that's something that I also use. It's basically just like all these other indicators, just measuring moving averages and how fast something moves, right? But a good indication is when you see all these candlesticks, keep exceeding the top band. That means that, it's probably going to come down a little bit. And the same thing in reverse. When you see it keep breaking the lower band, that means there's a good chance it's going to come back up. And on the 4 hour, you could see that. You could see that clearly. Like over here, when Bitcoin was coming down, you could see a couple times it was breaking the lower band, right? Then it started to shoot up, right? Now, this period, of course, man, it was a tremendous pump for Bitcoin. Obviously, after breaking 20,000, you could see it kept breaking and hovering above the upper band until it decided to take a breather. Then it went sideways, and you could see that the band started catching up, right? It hit pretty much the midpoint, and now it's coming back up. So if you look at this, you could see that obviously the band is turning down because Bitcoin stalled out a little bit. But if this increases, the band is going to start moving up again. So the band went as high as about 24.7. But if Bitcoin continues up, you know that band is going to continue upwards like this. So we're looking at about, 25,000, right? And that would not be unreasonable. Actually, after 24,000, 25,000 is really right around the corner, right? So I do think with stochastic turning up, RSI turning up, and the band also increasing, I do think that Bitcoin realistically can see 25,000 even by the end of the day. That's how amazing things are right now. So I do think that Bitcoin will be back up to 24,000 in no time, right? And once it breaks through 24.2, this new all-time high, it's getting ready. 25,000 could come as soon as tonight. This is what I've been saying for a long time. After 20,000, it's really the unknown, and things can move really quickly. And yes, things have been moving really, really quickly. So I'm excited. I know you're excited, but we will just have to wait and see what happens later today. I do believe that there's a good chance that Bitcoin could be as high as 25,000 by the end of tonight. So what do you guys think about Jeffries now FOMOing into Bitcoin? And where do you think Bitcoin is going to be by the end of today? Leave your thoughts below. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe to the channel and check out these 2 other videos.